When a ride mechanic failed to tighten two bolts on the wheel of a popular ride at Disneyland, and a manager failed to check the work before signing it off, it would set off a chain of events that would lead to disaster, with multiple injuries and one rider even losing his life. This is the story of the Big Thunder Mountain Railroad accident at Disneyland. On the 5th of September 2003, it was a busy day at the park as usual. There was a long line of people waiting to get on the Big Thunder Mountain ride, one of the most popular rides in the park. The ride crew initially opened the ride with 2 trains that morning. However, at around 10:30 a.m., they decided to bring in a third train. This specific train had not been used since undergoing routine maintenance 3 days prior. The crew thought adding an extra train to accommodate more visitors and cut down their waiting time might be a good idea. The Big Thunder Mountain Railroad had completed 12 trips without any issues. However, the ride operators noticed a strange noise they had never heard before. They eventually decided that the train should be removed for inspection after one more ride. At 11:20 a.m., the train was on its 13th trip of the day. The ride sped through the desert area landscape and went uphill into a tunnel when 2 bolts on the left wheel of the locomotive of the train fell off into the track. As a result, the wheel got stuck on the railroad tracks and the locomotive nose dug into the ground. This caused the locomotive to become airborne and hit the ceiling of the tunnel it was passing through. After hitting the ceiling, the locomotive landed on the first passenger car, crushing him. In the next few seconds, the riders were trembling with terror and got up from their cars to seek help for the people in the front cars stuck inside the tunnel. One of the riders said, "Someone is hurt bad. It's really serious. Get someone up here." The injured passengers were trapped for an hour in the cave before they were rescued. At this point, nobody had the slightest clue of how many people were injured and to what extent. The Anaheim Fire Department was instantly notified about the accident and quickly reached the park. 49 firefighters, 4 engines, and 6 ambulances arrived at the scene. It took more than an hour to rescue the injured passengers from the tunnel and safely send them to the hospital. There were 10 injured victims from ages 9 to 47 years old. Several of them had bruised their faces and had serious wounds on their body. Unfortunately, one of the riders died instantly when the locomotive derailed and collided with the cart behind it. The victim was identified as Marcelo Torres, who was 22 years old. Emergency workers reported that Marcelo had to be extricated from the front passenger car. Soon after the rescue, the Disneyland authorities set up a first aid treatment area near River Bell Terrace. Out of the 10 who were injured, only 2 were treated at the scene. The rest of the 8 victims were sent to the hospital for immediate treatment under a doctor's supervision. Vincent Gutierrez, Marcelo Torres' friend, was sitting right next to him during the ride and when the incident occurred. Even though Vincent was lucky to survive, he sustained deep facial cuts, chest injuries, and broken ribs. He was the most severely injured person in the accident and was listed in serious condition at the UCI Medical Center. Disneyland authorities expressed their deepest regret and sadness at the incident. Cynthia Harris, the president of the Disneyland Resort, told the media, "We are shocked and saddened by this. Our hearts and prayers go out to the family of the victim and all the people who were injured." The chief executive of Walt Disney Company, Michael Eisner, also sympathized with the victim's family in a news conference. He also tried to clear the rising doubts and concerns of the world about Disneyland's safety. Eisner stated, "For the last 50 years, the safety and well-being of our theme park, our guests, and our employees has been and continues to be our top priority." Besides this statement, Eisner and other company representatives refused to comment or provide other details about the accident. The company officials informed the media that Anaheim Police and the state's Division of Occupational Safety and Health Authority, OSHA, would thoroughly investigate the factors responsible for what happened. Disney had announced that the Big Thunder Mountain ride would remain closed until the investigation was complete. There had been many accidents in the past, and people were injured. However, this incident resulted in the death of 22-year-old Marcelo, which aggravated the matters for Disney. It raised many questions about its safety standard, maintenance of the rides, and the competence of the crew. Vincent was devastated by the unfortunate death of his friend. On the 6th of September, the next day after the accident, Vincent shared the details about the accident that he could remember. "It was the third turn, I think. We were going into the tunnel, and all of a sudden, I heard something really loud and shaky. I told myself this isn't normal. From there on, I just blacked out." According to the Orange County coroner's statement, Marcelo died due to the blunt force trauma to his chest that resulted in fractured ribs and laceration of his lungs. It caused severe blood loss, and unfortunately, Marcelo couldn't survive. Marcelo's family was shocked to learn about their son's death. The Torres family rightfully sued Disney for the tragic death of their son. However, 3 days before the court date, Disney had reached a settlement with the Torres family in December 2005. The settlement amount remains unknown. However, Marcelo's parents donated $500,000 from the settlement amount to Brooks College in Long Beach to provide scholarships to deserving aspiring animators. The rumors regarding the settlement amount were calmed down by the statement from Marcelo Torres' parents, who said, "There is no money possible to pay for his life, ever, but that is the only remedy the law can provide. Now that this exhausting emotional process has finally concluded and we have our answers, we will hopefully have some closure." Torres' parents were right. No amount of money could bring back Marcelo. However, this heart-shattering incident led to a thorough investigation to determine what caused this accident. Safe to say, the findings of this research were quite shocking for the world and even tarnished the reputation of Disneyland. It turns out that the train, which had undergone maintenance work, was not checked before making it operational on September 5th. There were 2 loose bolts, and the mechanic had signed off the paperwork without proper inspection and deemed the ride fit. The slight negligence or laziness in conducting proper checking led to a disaster that cost an innocent person to lose his life. The investigation also found that ride operators heard a clanking sound 30 minutes before the crash, but they overlooked it and did nothing to address the issue. Disneyland accepted its mistake and paid a fine of $18,000 to OSHA. Furthermore, OSHA instructed Disneyland to retrain its employees and properly inspect the ride before signing the paperwork and opening it for visitors. Disneyland was also ordered to do a test run of the ride without passengers after signing off paperwork. Disneyland's reputation was forever stained after this accident. However, the company accepted its mistake and expressed its deepest regrets. Disney Park spokesperson Leslie Goodman said, "Unfortunately, in this case, a failure to follow procedures resulted in grave consequences, which we deeply regret." After the investigation, the Big Thunder Mountain ride was reopened on the 11th of March 2004. The ride is still open to this day.